If you care about what's actually happening on chain, subscribe to the 0x Research newsletter. Our team at Blockworks Research sends a daily brief with analyst insights, data-driven breakdowns, and sharp opinions on what's happening on chain, built by people who live in the arena. Subscribe at the link in the description today.
Nothing said on 0x Research is a recommendation to buy or sell securities or tokens. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and any views expressed by anyone on the show are solely our opinions, not financial advice. Boccaccio, Ryan, and our guests may hold positions in the companies, funds, or projects discussed.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode live stream of 0x Research. Joined by my co-host Boccaccio, Triple Boccaccio, Salve Boccaccio, as well as Mark Arjun from the research team at Blockworks. And we've also got Bread, 0x Bread guy. You guys may know him from a variety of different things, I guess. He's got his own other podcast that he's on earlier than this one, as he was just telling us about before the show, and also at MegaETH more recently. But maybe you know him just from Threads CT general account status. So
an occasional nude.
Occasional nude and tattoo pic. Yeah.
James Kristoff's begging for it. I don't know if you saw, but he's like, make him take his
in
ass.
Chat.
Yeah, he's begging for it essentially.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I get that a lot these days, but I've already committed no nudes until mainnet.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's
So
smart.
Brett, you're very popular. I think you did a very good job by
I wouldn't go
branding.
that far.
I imagine this is like something you did very explicitly. You have your own like images and you put like the red background on them, and they do really well. So like anytime I see anything red, I'm like, oh, Brad guy, what is he up to? I think it's
that was intentional. I actually copied that from DeFi Ignis, if you know him, the penguin. Yeah,
Yep.
huge. I think like literally November of 2023, so almost 2 years ago at this point. I just remember like seeing him grow, and I noticed he did the same thing because he would create graphics, charts, whatever. And I saw that his PFP background was the same as that his images, and I was like, okay, that's actually pretty cool. And it's a good way to like stop people from copying your shit and not crediting you, right? So like, or at least make it a little harder instead of like watermarking everything. So I noted it. I tweeted about it. I was like, that's pretty subtle but smart. And I just started doing it since then with the PFP that I just had at the time. And it's kind of just continued to evolve.
How did you come up with Bread? I know this. You've probably done like a million of these, but why is it? Oh, I guess that makes sense. I just realized
because my literal name is Brett with a T.
Yeah,
Brett. And growing up, people just didn't enunciate the name. So like they were just like, oh, hey, what's up, Brett? And I had a friend that was named Brad. And so like both of us would constantly get confused. It became a joke between us. So we kept doing that. And then I don't know, joined the space as a pseudonymous person. I had to think of something. So I just, Bread.
That's good. Last background question. And Danny, I know we have more serious stuff to talk about, but like, how did, because I know you as an anon, right? Like a smart anon who posted a lot of interesting stuff, good takes. How did
a lot of that's because of Blockworks. I grew up in the research streets with you guys, and like I don't know, no one else like really talked about it. So like I feel like I've kind of grown with the crew a little bit, just like in the back end, and obviously not affiliated, but like I always resonated with how you guys approached stuff, and I just kind of did it independently.
Yeah, I mean, I saw what could have been, right? Like who did you message? Who were you talking to? Was it Westy?
Yeah, I applied. Both Westy, Dan. Like Dan hit me up out of nowhere. We were just like friends on the timeline, and he's like, bro, you should join the team, you should do all this stuff. And it's like, MF, I applied like 4 months ago, and I talked to Mike at ETH Denver and like all this stuff, but like I don't think Mike linked my face, me, Brett, as a person, to like Bread, the person online. So I think that was disconnected. And then I think that just like the application actually got lost also in the mix a little bit, because coming through my face as opposed to like, I think I probably had my resume, which was like healthcare IT consultant at the time. So like I had my Web2 shit in there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a big fumble from us, but a huge grab for MegaETH, which I assume is very happy with you because you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to learn how to do marketing shit, because like I'm an IT dude. Like with computer science, I'm very literal. I talk about fucking stats and like deep tech scaling bullshit. But their need is like a little bit marketing. So I'm trying to get pulled into like the classically trained like running a marketing campaign and doing all the, the things that come with that design shit, like just things I've never had to do.
We lost him. Did I lose him?
Yeah, we lost him.
No, the marketing was stressing him out.
It's okay. We can while he's lost, we can do our quick chills for the top of the pod. One, Das London. Brett's back. We'll do these real quick. We'll do these reads and then we'll come back to him. Das London coming up October next month. Boccaccio, Salve Boccaccio, and Mark Arjun, both of the guys on the show today will be there. I know Ryan Connor, James Kristoff, some other names maybe that you know from the show will be there as well. And of course, a bunch of notable big names from around the crypto industry and also the TradFi world will be at DAS. So get your tickets. You can get £100 off if you use code 0x100. And we're also running a bit of like a referral promotion. If you refer 15 people to Blockworks newsletters, then you can get yourself a free ticket. So check that out. If you can refer the people, cool, get a ticket. If you can't, get £100 off, use code 0x100. And we're going to be doing, Bach, I don't know all the details, but Boccaccio himself will be doing a live 0x research stream from the event one of the days.
Yeah, I will have on interesting people potentially. I actually haven't booked everything, which is why I haven't brought this up. And I don't want to like overpromise and under-deliver, which is kind of a Boccaccio trait at this point. But like we will potentially have people involved in the podcast at DAS, and it should be potentially fun, maybe, and interesting. We'll see.
And maybe relevant to Brett's background, Blockworks is hiring a research data analyst. So if you love on-chain data, crypto data, you love digging in the weeds, having fun with SQL, making dashboards, all of that, we are looking to hire. So reach out. There should be a link in the show notes. Get your name in there, get your resume in there. Hopefully it doesn't get lost this time like Brett's did. And if
You
you're
guys
the
are
right fit,
crushing though. And like I think like shout out the team for I was actually reflecting on it earlier because like I thought about a few other research firms whenever I was going through that application process of like how do I get in the industry. And like man, like you guys have really like defined, I think, at least for me, the last like year or so. Right. You have a bunch of these other names. I don't want to just like shit on people, but like, yeah, man, like it's cool. I think you have done well. And growth is just there.
Yeah, past year's been very good for Blockworks, and not to shit on other people as well. Like they actually have very good businesses as well. It's just I think we've done very, very well.
You guys impact CT more.
Yeah,
I'll say. I think you guys have a very good presence. I don't know if that was a strategic thing that you guys all set out to do, or if it was just naturally by like your people gravitated towards like that type of distribution. But I think that is probably where you guys made your mark the most.
I've been thinking a lot about this, and like I'm actually reading this book right now called The Tao of Investing or The Tao of Capital or something. It's by this guy, this old investor, and he talks about this process of like how you can, and it's a very simple thing, like how if you just like wait to like do something for like a long time, the opportunity might eventually end up being much bigger. And that's I think what we did at Blockworks is like there's a lot of things that come to Blockworks that could like it can make you money, but there's an issue of credibility and brand risk, etc. And like we spent a lot of time like being very, very careful with everything, and we know that like I mean for a research shop, credibility is everything. So like we took a long route for it. Actually, I've also been thinking about this, I guess, Brad. So I don't know what is happening, but maybe like a big nostalgia hitting everybody these days. Works.
Yeah, the fostering everyone's individual brand, pretty meaningful as well. So even if hypothetically, you're at MegaETH, but if 0x Bread Guy was at Blockworks, like you'd still be posting on your account, sharing your brand around, which I think is pretty meaningful, right? You might know 100%. A lot of
it's essentially like the founder-led marketing thing, right? Like it's the same ethos.
Yeah. I mean, both Yano and Mike are great at it. Everybody else on the team as well. One thing I want to say about your marketing, and then we can get into more technical stuff. I think it's much better if you can approach stuff from a stats side, and you also clearly know this, like, because if you're purely focused on marketing, you're gonna miss out on a lot of people. It's too general. But I think if you're like posting about interesting stuff while also like supplementing that with like some form of marketing knowledge, it's a lot better, right? Like if you're actually interesting, and then you can use some of the strategies that you learn is very different to like being purely focused on marketing. I don't know. I don't see how like a large purely marketing or purely PR firm could come into crypto and like really dominate very organically, and like it would like stick with a lot of people, right? Like you want to have some form of base background in CT and tech, knowing how to scale something, business finance, and then you can apply other things. I think you'd have a leg up always, as opposed to like Ogilvy coming in. I'm sure they do they'd clean up, but
I agree with you, and I think most of that is around contribution. Whereas like everything you're talking about there, where you talk about doing stats for like different ecosystems, talking about conversation, you're contributing to a broader conversation on like a thing that they're naturally interested in, which gets them to engage, like give you like presumed expertise, domain expertise in something. And the fact that you can do that on someone else's turf lets you build credibility, which builds credibility for the brand, right? It's like and that's just how social media works. Everyone's inherently selfish for the most part. Like if you're not doing just like straight up Cluely style marketing bait where you just like, oh, this thing is weird, click my shit and
yeah,
retweet it, whatever. You're doing, hey, this is something that is interesting to you because it's your ecosystem. They then engage because they're selfish, frankly, and then that allows you to propel that into like the next thing, which maybe is not focused on their ecosystem. So talk about Solana, then the next thing could be about Cardano. Talk about Cardano, the next thing could be about Tron, and like you get those social circles that are interacting because they're selfish. They want to hear stuff about their specific stuff, and then it cross pollinates because the algo feeds them the next thing. Yeah, you can't do that if you don't have any kind of impact on any of those individual circles where you can contribute.
yeah. But that thing is very key. Is like hitting the right circles is very important. There's a lot of people who spent a year talking about things that just didn't matter, and at that point it's about a bit about like visioning what the future will look like. I can do a good segue here, Danny. Am I cleared?
I have one, but go for it. Rip it.
Talking about what the vision of the future might look like. What is happening with MegaETH? Is there anything exciting that I guess, how can I phrase this? Yeah, like what are we looking for here? What's gonna come up?
Farm me, baby. I mean, like probably the things that we recently announced, right? Like that's the thing that I think is still fresh and new and topical for the broader conversation. Like obviously we did the USDM thing in partnership with Ethena. So we launched, a stable coin that is a MegaETH stable coin. And now we can use that to like generate revenue that is independent of like the actual transaction fees on the chain, right? It's like if people who are familiar with L2s, you have the sequencer charges to actually execute the transaction. They charge a little bit of margin on top of that. And that margin is what they make their money out of. But it's kind of at odds with other, with like the users of the chain and applications, right? Because like you're just artificially increasing gas costs. So we were able to do the stable coin, now bring all that yield in-house and hopefully create something that is synergistic with the growth of the chain and that scales with it. So as the chain grows, like hopefully, and like the USDM supply grows, we collect more yield on the back of that. We can deploy that into the ecosystem in various ways. That hopefully attracts new apps. Those new apps that are attracted hopefully attract new TVL, which increases the USDM supply, which then, and all of that is independent of like directly being subsidized by the users and scales a little beyond sequencer fees, which, I mean, if you look at I'm pretty bearish on just like infrastructure broadly. I think all of it just is going to compress. I think you guys probably share a lot of that same sentiment. And in a world where apps get smarter, capture more of the fees that they generate, which they should, right? They're going to continue to do that. It means that the valuations of these smart contract platforms and the underlying tokens are probably going to compress a little bit. And that's just my opinion. Then we want to create revenue sources that are independent of that, which is why Hyperliquid is so successful, right? Hyperliquid is a chain, yes-ish, but they're an app first in my mind, right? Hyperps is the thing. That's what's generating all the revenue. That's where, and that because they're an app, because they're doing that stuff, they're going to continue to grow crazily, right? Like have the ability to anyways. So we're trying to mimic some of that without like directly cannibalizing specific apps on the chain.
I think that makes sense. And did I guess the whole USDH debacle kind of validate that thesis in your mind where you were like, okay, like this is something that we should pursue because we can get revenue off it?
Yeah, I mean, we were like cooking this for months ahead of that. So like the timing was good/bad, whereas like it took over the timeline. So like it validated it for everyone else. It reduced the educational hurdle that we had to do of like why we did it for sure. Everyone else like speed ran that. But it also was like the headline for like the majority of the time, whereas like, our thing was second tier, which is, fine, whatever. I think it just helps everyone. But yes, I think broadly, you're going to see a lot of these stable coins get taken out like this, like that all of that yield that is not going back into an ecosystem is seen as now an opportunity, right? Your margin is my opportunity situation. Like you even saw Mert trying to call for USD manlet, right? So he can like internalize that shit. Now, the advantage that I think we have is that because we're starting with zero, we don't have to worry about undoing a USDC or a USDT or whatever. We can start day zero and like try to build up all of our liquidity with USDM, and we'll work to do that. But like, so it's going to be hard. Like USDH, once it gets adopted, that's going to take a while to go migrate from USDC, and maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the obvious question it asks of all of these ecosystems that pursue this type of strategy is like, how do you toe that line of, if there's further revenue streams that you foresee, maybe the chain wanting to acquire in the future? You have Mega Mafia, for example, incubating apps within the ecosystem. How do you toe that line between like, we'll let people build this versus, hey, maybe we should just build this ourselves and capture it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big criticism, right? You don't want to nationalize anything, or you don't want to be perceived as the thing that's always going to poach teams or whatever. I think our stance on that is that, we like, even for this initiative, we tried working within our ecosystem first, and then just for a multitude of reasons, some regulatory stuff, some of like it just didn't work out. And frankly, even this current deployment is not even in competition with anything else on the chain. Cap is a stablecoin project that's in our Mafia. Their thing is natively a yield bearing token, so it's actually complementary to Cap, the token, and what they will be doing on the chain. And our token, they've already committed to like using it as collateral within their basket of underlying tokens. So like it actually lifts them up. Now, like as far as like the future and like would we ever do that stuff, like I think we're going to continuously look for just like synergistic ways to deploy this stuff. But we're also trying to foster an ecosystem of people that are just competitive. So game is game situation.
Yeah, totally fair. I think we're going to be seeing experimentation in this area probably all over the place, as you mentioned with Mert, for example.
Yeah. And the USDM was in partnership with Ethena, but it's not a USDE wrapper. It's USDTB, right?
It's actually anything. So like it'll start as USDTB. So like that's the flexibility we have, right? And the criticism you get is like, oh, well, bro, you're just getting T-bill yields. What happens when they compress as like rates continue to get cut? On the back end, we can actually at a whim, like switch it over to USDE whenever like rates get cut, and then like USDE is inversely correlated to those numbers. So our yield is actually can be dynamic on the back end. We have like exposure to, or we can have exposure to the full suite of Ethena products, like as we go on. So it's got some flexibility, and that was another key reason why we ended up going with them as a partner, because it allows that flexibility and gives us some flexibility in a downtrending market, right? Whenever maybe rates come, our yields come, not yields, real rates, whenever that stuff increases again.
When you say flip the switch, do you mean like entirely flip the switch, or can it be a combination of the two?
It could be basket. Yeah, it could be, even now it'll be a little bit of a basket. It won't be 100% USDTB, but it'll be majority. And we have the ability to mix and match. So we can slowly go from one to the other over time, like as we observe the market.
Are they going to come on the chain separately as well? Like as USD?
No. Like, yeah, like that was also part of it, to where we we want to defend, the ecosystem and try not to have too much fragmentation within it. So
that makes sense. By the way, if you can't answer any question, it's completely fine. You can just obviously say you can.
Yeah.
My next question is going to be, so Ethena goes really, really well with two protocols. It goes really well with Pendle, like really, really
Aave
well.
and Pendle, yeah.
So is that something that we should also be expecting? From what I guess I heard this, or like it just somebody said it to me, but can you guys even onboard Aave because you're like too fast or something?
So it's the chain is very fast, and the chain does require special mechanisms to deploy if you're going to try to maximize the actual like effectiveness of the chain. So I will say nothing is like impossible, but like some things may require some refactoring, even though we are EVM equivalent, even though we do have like everything is backwards compatible. Everything we do is like, you could do a one-to-one transport. You just wouldn't experience the full benefits of what MegaETH can offer. So they could deploy easily. Whether or not they will be there is like it's a permissionless chain, so they can. We don't have firm commitment from them, and a lot of that is based on some other infrastructure components. Like, there's different oracles that need to be in place. Like there's only certain things that need to work with, and sometimes they need liquidity agreements. And frankly, we're kind of taking a little bit of a hyperliquid approach where, we're just going to build the thing that we know, which is awesome. And we are going to attract awesomeness through that, right? Like if you contribute, like continue to just make things good and then build up the ecosystem and give opportunity for native applications like within Mafia. Avon is one that like would be, is offering a CLOB lending product instead of like what Aave would be. But yeah, so we're offering that opportunity to the ecosystem teams to like grab that, frankly.
I think from the liquidity side, it kind of makes sense. We see Aave announced that they're looking to pull out from Scroll and ZK Sync just because it's just not worth the operational cost to be there. I mean, and kind of a wake-up call for those teams too.
What do you think of you're the Ethereum guy. What do you think of the commentary that Stani had against just like L2s broadly?
I mean, I think rightfully so. Stani is getting a bit fed up, maybe jaded in this space. He's like, so I mean, I don't believe I'm here for it. I think they need to start to be, especially in the Ethereum ecosystem, start to need to be a little bit less kumbaya and a little bit more margin driven. So I'm definitely there for that. I love Stanley as an individual and as an operator. But I wanted to ask. So I mean, that makes sense why Aave is not going to give the commitment to for MegaETH. Maybe they want to see how well the system flourishes, and that's from the liquidity side. From the technical side, is it just oracles? Is that the only technical limitation? Like, it needs to be a really fast oracle in order to work on MegaETH, or is there anything else?
It's not even that it has to, like everything will work. It just won't be the best form of itself. But we've made sure to work to get some net new shit on the chain, and a lot of teams see us as an opportunity to like really flex their engineering skills. So like with the Redstone guys, right? The Redstone launched push oracle that pushes every 2 milliseconds on chain. Like it's a Redstone by itself, if no other users are on the chain, will generate around 400 TPS on the chain, right? Which is double what Base does with all of its users and all of its push oracles and all of its everything. Like day one, 0 users, 400 TPS. Like that's just how it'll operate, assuming it pushes at every single mini block. So like there's teams that have stepped forward to do all of that stuff for us. But otherwise, no, it's like it's straight up EVM compatible and everything is in place. Like the other nuances that we have that I think are people have the ability to lean into to like actually pimp out their stuff is like our contract sizes are like 512 kilobytes, right? Whereas like on mainnet, you have to gas golf around 24 kilobytes. So they're talking about bumping it a little bit, like I think it was like 64 or 256. So like you don't have to break up your contracts into a bunch of things. And I'm actually even talking to, I don't know if you've seen Ross, who's the guy who pitched singleton contracts, who back in the day, because state growth on top, you may have seen the thread that came back yesterday that Timbeko, I think, is the one that retweeted it. And it was like 97% of Ethereum state is redundant smart contracts that are being used that have no calls to them and dead addresses. It's all basically wasted state, which is a concern for a chain that's super fucking quick like us, because data is just a lot of data, right? You guys know that as a platform, right? It's a lot of data. It's like Solana. Solana has a lot of data because it's a fast chain. But Solana's advantage is they use programs, and programs can be like the Metaplex guys, right? They have a single SPL program that is used by everyone instead of having 150 deployments, 150,000 deployments of SPL 22 or whatever. But that Ross guy created a singleton contract, which is like an EVM equivalent of the same thing that would knock that down a lot. And so we are also, even though we have the capacity to do all this crazy high-end stuff, we're also looking to do stuff that like Ethereum mainnet is looking to do as like a gas golfing optimization thing. So we have both ends of the spectrum that are leaned into. So like there's stuff like that people can do or will be able to do on the chain to just like really lean into what we have.
Ross is Zam, right?
Yeah. Have you used it? I've been meaning to use it.
I have used it before. I used
What do you think?
Zam and I used Nani. It's okay. Like it's very cheap, if that makes sense. Like
yeah.
I mean, the thing is that there's no like on Ethereum when you try something out, there's nothing like, wow, this is like life changing. It's just like instead of being $2, it's like 13 cents, which is fantastic. But it's also like on any other place, I'm paying a cent or sub a cent. So it's like,
Yeah.
but it was very impressive, and I liked this. I liked Nani a lot when it originally launched. I haven't checked it out since. I don't know if you're familiar. It's like a AI agent for swaps and stuff. It launched before like the huge AI agent boom on Solana and like
So it's like
Anon.
BankerBot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I
Ish.
would recommend checking that one out first and then checking out Zam, because Nani was pretty cool. It creates like smart contract wallets for you, does a bunch of random stuff, whatever you want it to do, it does it. It's interesting. I didn't look too much into the technicals on either of those, which is why I can't give you a very interesting answer to like, is it cool? Like on the user
bro,
side,
even the price difference, because like yeah, the difference you see on Ethereum mainnet, sure, $13 to 12 cents, like that may not be a huge unlock. It makes things a little bit better, but it's still like not as cheap as some of these other fast chains. But then if you have that same magnitude of decrease on a chain that is already 1 cent, and it goes from 1 cent to a fraction of a cent, right? And then you can do that stuff at scale. So like now you have that infrastructure underlying, which can actually bring on like market makers to utilize this stuff on chain, which is like the thing that we even today are having to make sure that we optimize our gas between like one, letting these market makers come on chain and operate high frequency trading. And we're even still playing with our gas model to where like it may have some special tweaks specifically for high frequency traders, so that they have like a fast lane that allows for them to like come on chain, frankly. But still early days. But like if those kind of optimizations lead to something like that, make it more realistic, like that's a huge unlock for the users. Even if it isn't like them directly making the swap, it allows for tighter spreads, it allows for, you know, deeper liquidity, like all that shit.
Completely agree. I also like I hope I didn't come off like a dick, because I realized like I spent quite a bit of time being upset with Ethereum, but like I shouldn't be upset with Ethereum if they're launching like, because the thing is this Ross spent time building out like these apps which are clearly innovative, like clearly trying to work on it, because one of the things that I guess like we have on the research side sometimes with Ethereum is that the existing like founders and protocols are quite large and they don't really need to innovate as much as like some competitors have to, because like you said, like for you guys, Avon really has to innovate as much as possible, because someone could bring in AVV3, AVV4, trusted contracts. Like we saw this with Hyperliquid, they have Hyperland. It's just like another team forked it. So like Avon really has to work really hard. So you see it on new chains versus like on Ethereum, everything's kind of slow moving on the innovation side. So I think it's very interesting that they're like still working on it, and people are spending like hours and hours of their day trying to optimize something from 2 to 13 cents. And then an idiot like me is like, oh, that's actually not that impressive. Like, it's not true. It is quite impressive. I hope I didn't come off with that too.
Yeah, we're seeing this on Solana actively with prop AMMs, right? They're consistently trying to undercut each other. And so like if you enhance that dynamic where the pricing for like HFT or algorithmic traders or market makers is further reduced, probably for trading on perps as well, right? Then it makes that type of operation more feasible. So you're more likely, I feel like, to see more of that type of activity that we're kind of starting to see fostered on at least Solana, maybe some other places, but the prop AMM thing has really started to pop up there.
I'm glad you brought up perps, because I mean, as much as optimization is definitely necessary, especially on Ethereum, I would pay double, triple, 4 times if I can just stop clicking twice, right? And that's why.
Bro, what is taking wallets so long for the 7702? What is going on?
I see these charts of it getting adopted, but then I never see any actual program using it, that I use at least.
You know what the adoption is? I saw someone break down the numbers on a Dune dashboard, and I think it's like 85% rugs, like literally like quick deploy, like scam transactions.
Why are these scammers so good to innovate? Why are they so quick to innovate?
It's like tech industry getting advanced by porn, and what's the other one? It's always like porn and gambling are like always on the vanguard of everything. Scammers in our industry are on the vanguard of like adopting tech because it's new ways to trick people in ways that they are not familiar with and they don't know they're being tricked. So like they're there.
Yeah, that makes sense. In terms of optimizations for perps, I assume you're also doing priority cancels, right? This is something that relates to the fast lane, or is this not possible?
So you can't actually do priority cancels in like we're going to be FIFO to start. and then we'll have a priority mechanism at some point. So for us, like if you think back to first principles of why the cancel orders or prioritization is there, is because market makers want to avoid toxic flow from other market makers, right? So they do that just so they can front run each other, frankly. So we can't do that unless we identify those people or put in a speed bump, but we don't put any speed bumps. So we're exploring some alternative methods that actually allows these market makers to identify each other and then avoid each other intentionally, knowing that who is making trades, because then you could put in the trades and avoid taking or picking off each other. Obviously, you still have malicious people come in there, but we have some other stuff in place because we don't want to intentionally slow down the chain, right? We want to be as fast as possible on all fronts. So it's currently what we're exploring. It won't be cancel priority.
Makes sense. Did you guys finish up Mega Mafia 2? Is it done? Like you do like a
Ask
meeting.
Mark, he was there. He got to come and hang out. He was in Copenhagen with us for like a week and a half.
What are some favorites? Do you have any favorites you want to list off, Mark or Brad? Or maybe you have to be neutral, but I don't know.
Yeah, Mark, did you actually get to you didn't get to experience the full suite or like get to like and do that? You talked like
I mean, I was there for 3 days. I met who was there at the time. I don't have to be neutral. So maybe from cohort 2, I mean, I think the obvious one is Cap. What's the name of this one who was looking to do Turkish lira?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they haven't been revealed yet, but yeah, they're doing a
you got Bach interested.
Yeah, it's a basis trade on the Turkish lira. It's basically Ethena, but for that trade.
We're cutting rates on the Turkish lira. We went from 45% to 44.5%. So it's coming down. I don't know if this is sustainable.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like they showed the back testing of like how large this trade is and how people have held up for the last couple of years. It's frankly ridiculous. But yeah, it's a team with very strong connections within the industry to like be able to bring that to market.
Yeah, when I talk to them, they seem uniquely well placed to tackle the market, both from a personal, like experience side, personal side, as well as the tech side of obviously with MegaETH.
Yeah. Say that, and I'll say the one for me is Blitzo is one I'm pretty excited about, and this is Blitzo, and then there's another one that's to be revealed that Mark didn't even see that like I think is going to blow the pants off a lot of people because there's some big names in it. But the Blitzo one is it was revealed in the first little cohort. So we have the second cohort, and we have 3 batches in the cohort. We're releasing them in phases or revealing them in phases, and the big one from the first batch reveal was Blitzo. And Blitzo is gamified payments, where it's a team that is taking just like your normal payment flow, right? You walk up to a cashier and you tap your phone, do whatever, or at the end of a restaurant. And at that moment, you have the ability to do additional things. And they just got a really slick UX, UI, and they're turning that moment into a thing. I can do a viral, memeable, actionable, enjoyable activity with you and your friends. And then the team's just really good. So we're excited to see that come to market because it's new, different, and consumer focused.
Mark, how come they flew you out?
Who's they?
Brad.
They did not.
He surprised us.
I booked the flight and flew out.
Yeah.
I think another team who I met, I like the was Ubitel. Combining TEs with broadband, and I thought that one was pretty interesting too.
Yeah, their moat, it was what's surprising to me, which is so like what they're like, it's a edge compute deep in, like everyone gets broadband shit. And their unique moat is that inside of every phone, obviously there's a SIM card. So whether it's physical or an eSIM, they like basically worked for a couple of years to get in with I want to say like Qualcomm guys, like actually write code and be able to like get access to the code inside your SIM cards. And they turn that into a TEE. And because they can turn that into a TEE, it means you can actually do some verifiable edge compute so that like now you can guarantee the contribution to the network in a deepened network and actually like avoid some of the civil problems that a lot of these deepened projects have. So like they're doing that to just bring broadband basically anywhere.
I think even if they don't like expand or verticalize themselves, like just licensing on that proprietary stuff is enough for them to like just grow. Oh, maybe I said too much.
We will silence you.
You're gonna get embargoed.
Awesome.
What do you guys? Yeah, I was saying, what you guys been trading these days? Like, okay, enough about us. Like, bro, I got liquidated. I got liquidated on a SOL long last night because I got greedy and reopened it. But I'm still
let's get
riding
into
along.
it. Before I let you run the trades, we will do a quick shout out to today's sponsors for the stream. Aptos, Bitcoin DeFi is heating up on Aptos with nearly 400 million in BTC assets on chain. Aptos users can now earn yield on their Bitcoin via Echo aBTC and OKX's xBTC without the typical bridge risks and high fees. Thanks again to Aptos for sponsoring today's stream, as well as Eigencloud. Is your treasury losing value to inflation? Learn how to make digital assets like ETH and SOL productive with uncorrelated protocol-driven staking rewards. For CFOs, DATs, and corporate treasurers, the path to integrating liquid staking and restaking should be risk managed and aligned with long-term strategic goals. The Productive Treasury Report from Liquid Collective and Eigencloud outlines practical adoption and a forward-looking vision for the role of the modern treasury as a strategic enabler of new technology. Read the Productive Treasury Report today by following the link in today's show notes. All right, we'll get back into it. Brad, sorry for cutting you off there. I do actually want to hear about your trades, and I'd love for us to get into that one. You were saying you lost some money on SOL, though.
I did. Yeah, I got greedy. I had it 20x long and like into the FOMC come out, and I was like, okay, sick. Just ride this thing for a little bit, and then I closed it. It's like I don't want to get greedy. I don't want to go to sleep on this because like this is, I'm honestly not a big trader. So like now that I'm just like eating into 20x's, I was like, I don't want to sleep on this thing. And then I woke up, market's green. I got caught FOMO. I was like, fuck, man, I shouldn't have closed it and do whatever. So I opened up another one, went to sleep on that one and woke up and it was gone. So yeah, but thankfully I took a couple shorts on the same trade to like, catch some downside or cap some of the downside. But yeah,
So
what do you guys say?
You were just trading
obviously,
I was just asking, you're just trading the FOMC, or were you trading SOL originally like around the DAT trade or anything else there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you guys put out a great report on the Solana DeFi, right? You look at Kyle Samani's his port codes and see like, okay, where is he going to deploy the $1.5 billion into the Solana ecosystem? So like one, you have the pressure where he front ran Solana, the Solana buys, like you have these other DATs that are coming. So like, okay, I think that you can probably run a low level long and just like ride Solana for the next probably couple weeks, like just catch that trade. As predictable as it is, I still think it's like the size is so big that you just kind of like the ETH DAT trade, right? And then Solana DeFi. So like looking at a few things that I trust and are comfortable with, and then Pump is the obvious one within not DeFi but DeFi adjacent, right? Because everything it's going to be doing is going to flow into Jito and probably prop up a few of these other applications. So I'm broadly just looking at that sector, frankly.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on this. Specifically, not my thoughts. These are Noah's thoughts. He shared them on the live stream last time. So, the DAT trade, compared to ETH, I feel like it was kind of front ran. Like the original 1.5, like very obviously as well, because it bottomed before everything else. They ran it up $100, like on it from 140 to 200. I still thought. Do you know who freaked me out about this? Effort Capital. Are you familiar with Effort Capital, Brad?
Of course, yeah, dude.
He was like,
D and I come. Do you know his history?
No, I don't.
He comes from the VeChain streets.
Oh yeah, I do know this actually. Yeah, he held it all down. I think that's his like story that he brings up, like his old man story. You know what I mean?
He and I go back to then. Like I bought VeChain bags in 2017, rode the shit down, brought it back up in 2021, still have my bag. And like, yeah, like that's like a lot of these old names. Like I was back in the day watching Twitter and Reddit, and that's how I came across D way back in the day.
Yeah. So after, I didn't know this. He mentions VeChain a lot, but I guess he doesn't go into the detail because it's a little painful for him. I will push him on it next time he's on the pod, though. I'll like really get him started out. But he was like very bullish Camino, which stressed me out a bit because typically when he's really bullish something, it like
tell him I rotated out of coin. I'm slowly going coin to hood. I think that one is losing some confidence.
That's a trade coin.
I think he's been trading it as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
Evercap likes to go crazy. Even this is the thing is when he hits a winning trade, he'll hold it. He say no. It's like by 2030, it's like another 1000x, or he'll start like doing the short-term options on top of that.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Just
might
like
go.
me for real.
Yeah, legit might go. Yeah, Camino's a pretty clear one there. I guess like Jupe as well,
Yeah.
probably with Jupe Land. What is the other one? Jito. I don't know. I don't like Jito.
Drift caught a huge bid. I think it went up like 150% the last like 3 days or something ridiculous. I saw also Sanctum. Sanctum also caught a little bit of a bid. Yeah,
Well, they're
that's the
pivoting business
LSC protocol.
models. Well, not pivoting, but they're expanding their business model as well. So,
What are they doing?
What are they doing?
It was on the Lightspeed podcast, the second best podcast that we offer. Basically, I would say they're going to do more of what Jito does. This is what they're looking to do, like more on the transaction level side of things. Because maybe their LST margin on AMM wasn't giving them enough of a premium. They were still pretty low cap, but I think naturally as they like partner with a lot more validators, they started getting deeper into that like transaction level processes, and it just kind of like happened naturally for them, more organically.
Okay, I can respect that. Whenever you said that, like going LSTs to like MEV, I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. But then, okay, if they're working with validators, understanding the stack a little bit more and seeing where their pain points are, maybe how they can optimize that.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly. And I think like with their, I think Binance's SOL is now the second largest LST after Jito, and that came up through Sanctum. So, I think they're just in a lot more of those conversations, and when other exchanges perhaps see that, it starts to just organically improve from there.
Is it just free money for exchanges then? Like, because you just you just take whatever 5-10%. I don't know what the commission rates are on SOL these days, but it's just free money. So I imagine all of them just launch it, and they all launch through Sanctum.
I gotta imagine it's a ton. I don't know if Coinbase's is still the same, but I know they were taking like 20% of pretty much every staking network that they were.
The regular ones are probably half then, because Coinbase likes to double whatever fee they can get. Because
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right.
They trap the American population, so they can just do whatever they want.
That's like Apple's take fee on the App Store. But just to rewind it back to like Katsamani's DAT trade. I mean, apart from like or DATs, MNAV, blah blah blah, I think like this might be a vehicle that people can substitute as an ETF. Like you want broad exposure to Solana ecosystem, and you don't want to size yourself. You don't want to go to the chain and buy each one individually, and maybe you don't know how to. Then just buy the DAT. It's like a pseudo ETF. And so, thoughts? I see thoughts.
I argue about this because this to me makes very little sense, because SOL has it's going to have ETFs right in October. It's 99% guaranteed, and like we saw the ETH ETF didn't get that much volume in the early days. I assume the SOL ETF will not get that much volume in the early days compared to
BTC. ETF got a lot of volume from Grayscale selling it all.
Now, yes. Okay. But like, why the fuck? Why would I assume by the DAT you mean we're creating a DAT, we're gonna put a bunch of random SOL, not random, but like SOL DeFi projects in a Camino, Jupe, Jito, Drift, etc. I feel like that's like the amount of size that will go into that would be very, very small, right? Unless like Samani starts putting in his own stuff into it, which in that case is like kind of incestuous even for him. No?
Like at that point, you're just turning it into a hedge fund, no? And then you're just buying direct exposure to these things.
And like, the thing, like, I don't think they'll be doing direct exposure like he's saying, or a basket of them. Like, yes, like they're probably more flexible that they can do that, because you're basically just trusting the management team to do whatever the hell they want. And then like whether that's diluting you or raising debt or buying tokens and whatever, their goal should be, or at least how most of them are articulating it, is we just buy SOL and we're going to strategically place that SOL in the ecosystem so that it earns yield. That yield gives us the ability to operate above MNAV, which then gives us the ability to raise more money to then buy more SOL. To then like it is still purely a SOL play, but they're utilizing DeFi to generate yield to justify a MNAV above 1. And then you're basically just banking on the actual management team.
When these,
and the last thing here is didn't Tom Lee kind of mess with the balance of the ecosystem that he created by introducing WorldCoin?
Yes.
Because if he had just done ETH, ETH's great, 56x arrow. You know, he goes on Squawk Box, says ETH is going 56x. That works, but like if you're introducing other things into it, I guess like with SOL, it's a bit more relevant because you're like, SOL is great, SOL DeFi is even better. I don't know, Mark. I hate disagreeing with you, but
the last point I'll add is like, it feels like if you're saying, you know, a lot of the speak has been around getting the yield, but you know, if we're basically just waiting for, you know, yield included ETFs to come along for ETH, SOL, etc. I mean, is this is just kind of like a front running those vehicles coming to market?
I would agree. Yeah, totally. And I've said that on the timeline, and people push back. They said that like the actual structure of the vehicle has taxes associated with it that make it less efficient at doing that. So there's some overhead there. But I've seen pushback on that too, and I'm not deep enough to actually say whether that is something that can stand up. But like that was the big push I got, was that these vehicles are less tax efficient. Therefore, like you have to out earn pretty significantly to beat just like a straight up staking ETF.
Yeah, and it's definitely a lot of front running because I was, you know, Solana normally trades in line in correlation with REV, with DEX volumes, especially, and to some extent, application revenue. Since late August, it's not been trading in line with any of those fundamental features. The price has gone up, and some of those things are flat or, you know, at worst case down. So I wonder what happens if the flows aren't as much as the expectations seem to be. Or if, you know, whether or not they are. I mean, are we going to see a big retracement? A big retracement? We haven't seen that in ETH yet.
yeah, can't they issue 4 bill now? Didn't they just do that?
They, as in,
Yeah, the trading volume's quite low though, which is what would allow them to sell shares into the market.
Who said this? It's like 23 mil. No,
It's like, yeah, it's in the you know, 8-figure range, whereas like Bitmine's peak days were billions, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 billion in trading volume a day. So they were definitely able to like pull from that.
Yeah, there's a lot of dispersion for sure.
One thing I will say is that about Kyle Samani is I think he'll make sure that it's figured out. Like he's
a much better talker than like Tom Lee is going to come off as like a crazy person, like the sailor. He's doing his best sailor impression, mostly because of the reasons that you guys harp on or have over the last like couple of years, months, right? Like there's no like fundamental numbers that you can look at to say like, oh, ETH deserves to be $66,000, right? Like you have to go, oh, stable coins are worth a gajillion, therefore it's worth a gajillion. But there's no like direct correlation to that. And whereas like what you guys have been honing in on with like the rev creation, all that stuff, is how can we actually quantify the underlying to justify like the above price. And then that is where you can have a better conversation with, you know, people that are used to putting shit in spreadsheets and saying, oh, look, it's a 22x multiple. Like, cool. I mean, you don't know what that is, and I'm fine bidding it. I think he'll tell that story much better.
Yeah, I agree. It's easier. The Solana story is a little easier on that end. I will say the selling talk is still, you know, over the top, but you know, when you got to sell, you got to sell. So I guess I get that. But certainly Tom Lee's like, you know, last time at 54x. So I don't know what'll happen this time, but you know, we've seen the past.
I remember that. Yeah,
that's pretty egregious.
This is the same stuff the Bitcoiners did years before, and then the gold bugs laughed at them. So
you got to do it.
You can meme these things into existence. There's precedent for it. So,
which is why I sent a DM to Sean Ryan Adams yesterday, 2 days ago, where he did a response to like they've been harping on the slashing stuff recently, and like him coming over the top of like, listen, guys, the grown-ups are talking. The people who actually have slashing enabled in a proof of stake network, like, and like really just like going over the top of the stuff. And I sent him a DM. I was like, bro, like I know we go back and forth on the timeline. I FUD the blob stuff all the time, and like they tell me it's dumb. I tell them they're dumb. But I was like, but this is like Ethereum legitimately needs this if it wants to achieve the upper echelon of what this stuff is, or like meme this stuff into existence. And it's like you're playing the role well, and I think it's necessary. So like you're doing what needs to be done. So GG's on that.
I agree. I mean, it's weird. It's like I agree that that's what you have to do, but at the same time, you know, kind of dislike the nature of it. But regardless, I mean, I see accounts, I see pretty large like non-crypto accounts on Twitter now talking about, yeah, Bitminer, ETH to the moon. Like I just started following this thing a couple months ago. Tom Lee's a genius, and it's like they've been fostering like exactly that type of individual. So
it
it's
works.
working.
They like Ryan, because like what happened was that, remember when they said like, oh, what's the GDP of whatever, like
average,
whatever that was, like they did that. We made fun of them right inside the industry because like you just took the GDP of something and made it a price point. But then a day later on like a Yahoo post or something, I got forwarded a push from Google. They're like, hey, here Ethereum's going to 100 gajillion because it's going to be the equivalent to the GDP of oil. And so like, dude, it works. It's propaganda. Like it's great. We need it.
Yeah, we actually had David Hoffman on the show like maybe that same week, and we kind of talked about it.
Blue money cult.
Yeah, and then, like we get it, we get the game. Well, some of us do.
Yeah, I mean, I think both are on our end. I think like one thing about like the actual narrative stuff versus the fake narrative stuff, like the 56x versus the RAV, the way that Mark mentioned, like it's been front run, etc. Crypto likes to get attached. Retail within CT, I think retail probably generally likes to get attached, including me, as we are all retail here. Likes to get attached to this idea of like, oh, everything needs to trade on revenues because like now everyone knows about revenue and RAV and fees and fundamentals and stuff. And then Tom Lee will come along and shill ETH as it's gonna go 50. I'm not saying it's not gonna go 56x, but it might to boomers, and then they all allocate in, or whoever is buying ETH at that point. And then it'll go up. So it'll be interesting to see. Are you did you guys trade Aster?
I avoided it. I didn't have
not.
assets on Binance. I was looking to short Avantis because Avantis caught the same trade.
Oh.
Right? It's like, oh, it's basis perp dex that was like it had a TGE. Everyone was screenshotting how much money they make on the farm. So I was like, okay, I want to short this thing because I feel like looking at the volumes and the fees generated was just nowhere close to like an actual profitable thing. But I couldn't find anywhere that gave me had it listed on a perp dex. And I didn't make the trade over to Aster, but same shit, right? You're anticipating CZ coming in and criming the charts because he wants to go against Hyperliquid. I'm hearing rumors or saw rumors that he was like straight up trying to get Hyperliquid banned in Asia outright, which is like, I guess, the front end. So like, yeah, it's a play, but it's a short trade for sure. Sun Pump, like Justin Sun is doing the same thing. Sun Pump or Sun Perps, they just got launched and they're doing a road show for it.
I don't know about the Asia thing. I also heard the same rumor, I think, and then everybody started posting about it.
Yeah.
I hope it's not true. I don't know. About the short, I'm very scared of shorting anything that Justin Sun or Changpeng Zhao are involved in. I feel like it's like that they could remotely be involved in. I feel like it's not something you want to short.
Or the base team now too.
Oh, did they run the stops on Avantis?
I just mean they've leaned more in this direction, similar to what BNB has done and Justin Sun has done historically, where they're, picking their ecosystem favorites and they drum up the attention for them. The Zora promotions and then the coin pumps a shit ton. It's like you don't really want to be on the other side of Brian Armstrong tweeting out tickers for stuff on his platform.
Yeah, the thing is, you can be as smart as you want, but you're gonna get your ass handed to you, unfortunately.
That was something I was gonna say. Is like and I think it's probably because BNB doesn't get talked about in the West so much.
Is that true? I feel like people just keep saying that. They're like, "Oh, we don't." BNB
it's true though, because
every pod.
No, but it's like to the extent that everyone knows about Tom Lee and he's like talking about 54x, and meanwhile, BNB hits 1,000 a coin, and like the only thing that people are talking about is like, I haven't looked at BNB in 5 years. How is it at 1,000 a coin? It's like, because it's just not like covered or thought about.
The same as Tron. Tron's been grinding up for the last 3 years. Like it's just been up only, just left to right chart. Yeah, same shit. It's like no one, you don't transact on the chain. Like I didn't even have funds over there. I think I bridged over there once, or maybe tried one little shitcoin, but like I didn't have anything to even access. At least I have a little bit of like AVAX to like shitcoin something. I didn't have anything.
I've never been over to Tron. Zero.
Yeah, me neither.
I've never used Tron, but I have used BNB.
Have you used Mantle?
Oh,
Yeah, after the Bybit announcements,
Yeah,
no idea.
dude.
they've been running it up. A lot of exchange tokens actually, like OKB as well. If you've seen that one, a bunch of these exchange coins have just been like,
CRO crypto.com as well. Yeah.
yeah, they've all been rocketing.
On the pod.
Can we what?
Who I don't know if you told me this in private. I won't share it just in case. But like, there's a reason that these tokens go up like this. I don't know if he shared it with me privately or if it was on the pod. So I have to be careful. But Danny,
Well-
did he talk about it last time it was on the pod? Like the exchange tokens and how they work?
Who?
Ian Unsworth from Kairos Research.
I don't know if
Go.
Ian talked about it specifically, but I feel
Okay.
like a lot of the like we know a lot of the reasons that they do pump generally is that they own a lot of the supply and then they make big announcements and they get retail excited again. And like crypto.com, for example, like, yeah, let's burn 70% of the supply. Let's reissue all of the supply we burned. Okay, let's burn it again. Like,
Yeah.
they can just manufacture these events to pump the price.
And didn't they partner with like WorldFi or some shit too?
I think
they had some.
Yes, Crow and WorldFi are partnered.
Yeah.
I think there's also a Bonk Fund partnership with WorldFi USD1.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, between that, like with the mantle stuff melting up, I decided to go look at the actual chain, and it's still there's zero activity there. It's basically dead. But so like you're valuing it entirely based on the Bybit exchange and like how much mantle you need to acquire to get fee reduction and shit. I don't know how much that's worth, but that's where the bid's coming from.
We wrote about it a while back, maybe like 2 years ago. So I need to go and look into it. Not 2, but like maybe I need to go back and look into it. One of those chains that I just ignore. I've with the I mean, you would know this better than us, Brad. Like, you need to really, really distinguish yourself because there's a million of these that have come out, and there's probably going to be 500,000 of these that will come out over the next few years.
You're talking just chains?
Yeah, just chains. Like so many chains constantly coming out. We had a huge burst of L2s.
Well, their thing was their treasury, right? You're like, oh shit, they're going to deploy their $1 billion of assets into this ecosystem and goose it. But they never really did, or at least it wasn't enough to move the needle.
I mean, it's also their own token, so their asset is in their own token. So that I don't know. That was like, to me, that whole thing was always a bit fake, right? It's like, yeah, they have $1.5 billion, but like it was in BitDAO. I guess it's in Mantle now. It's like, it doesn't really matter.
Hold on. I think even if you take out the MNT, it's still one of the largest. Like if you take out, let's see.
Yeah, they have a good bit of like just ETH and stablecoins, right? Like it's quite
they do have
significant.
5 billion of their own though. Yeah.
But yeah, most of it is the native token, but they do still have, I think the last time I checked, maybe a couple $100 million in ETH and stablecoins. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, looking now, if you rank them by total excluding owned tokens, they are 4th across the entire ecosystem behind Ethereum Foundation, which has $1 billion. I guess they're including ETH there. SharpLink, Gaming, Golem Network, and then Mantle at 275 mil. If you exclude
Golem
tokens.
Golem is the guys that raised ETH a while back, right?
Yeah, it just sat on it. Yeah,
long time ago.
That's a great protocol because they've made everybody, well, not a great protocol, but
all right, let me I'm going to jump in here one last time and shout out our sponsors for today's stream. Thanks again to Aptos. With nearly 400 million BTC assets on chain, supported by a secure, fast, and affordable MVM environment, Aptos has become the BTCFi growth chain. Aptos users can now earn yield on their Bitcoin via Echo's aBTC and OKX's xBTC without the typical bridge risks and high fees. With support from Echo, OKX, and Stacks' SBTC, Aptos is the best place to go for best-in-class yield on Bitcoin. Appreciate the support, Aptos. As well as Eigencloud. Corporate and protocol treasuries face a major challenge today. Cash and traditional instruments are losing ground to inflation. A new industry report from Liquid Collective and Eigencloud lays out the next evolution of the digital asset treasury, moving beyond just passively holding Bitcoin to actively making digital assets like ETH and SOL productive through liquid staking and restaking. For CFOs, DATs, and corporate treasurers, the path to integrating liquid staking and restaking should be risk managed and aligned with long-term strategic goals. The Productive Treasury Report outlines practical adoption and a forward-looking vision for the role of the modern treasury as a strategic enabler of new technology. Read the Productive Treasury Report today by following the link in today's show notes. One last thing I was going to bring up that was just slightly related to what we were talking about is prediction markets have become a pretty big thing. I saw this one. I thought it was kind of funny. Who will Trump pardon in 2025? And CZ is actually number one on this list right now at 47% chance. Just kind of interesting. Like, I don't know. He came back to like Twitter in force recently, and we see a bunch of BNB coins pump and BNB hitting 1,000. And I don't know. It feels like every couple of months they've figured out this strategy where CZ can name some tickers and maybe shill a meme coin or two, and it pumps all the BNB metrics, and then he kind of goes AFK.
2.5 mil is also nothing to scoff at. Like it's not bad volume. Something that I assume hasn't.
Roger Ver is number 2 on there also. Somewhat relevant.
George Santos is number 3.
Yeah, you want to look at that. Steve Bannon. SPF at 7. This would be absurd.
Yeah, I don't think it would.
If SPF got the pardon from Trump, that would just be.
He has the same odds almost the same odds as Diddy, so we'll see.
These names, Jesus.
Yeah, the volume drops off at the bottom there.
Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic.
Do you guys, so since CZ was at the top of everything, you guys remember what was it, 3 months ago where we found out he doesn't even know how to trade on chain?
Yeah. And that was the start of their prior run.
It was a fun shit, right? Yeah. They were like, oh yeah, like launch pads are cool. This is the launch pad we're going to use.
I thought that was so interesting where he was like, yeah, I've never made a DEX trade before. And so he was like, so he makes test token and then like they run it up to 500 mil or whatever. It's very interesting. Like, I don't know, CZ touches something and it just like
dude's got motion.
$1 billion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane motion.
I will say I find it kind of hard to believe that he hasn't made a DEX trade ever. I don't think that's ever possible. Like, to me, CZ doesn't seem like the kind of guy that wouldn't touch.
I mean, if he's building a SEC since day one, he's just always traded on his own platform. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy. I feel like they never really had that close. Like they launched BSC and he didn't
Pancake Swap. They pushed Pancake Swap.
Yeah, but he didn't make it.
Yeah, he didn't make it, but surely he used it at least once, right?
Maybe.
Because there's like 2 options here, right? Like CZ is either like trying to say, I never used it. This is the first time I'm using it. Test token, $500 million market cap, Or the second option is like, okay, CZ, like he always, like Brett said, he's always been a sex guy. He just never used it. He became too big before, like they launched BSC. I was like, I never need to use this. Like, which one?
I think the reality is a little bit of both, probably, right? Like maybe he did use it, maybe he didn't, but like probably didn't really ever need to touch on chain. Like Binance was so large by the time they made BSC that it's like the centralized exchange is making them so much freaking money. That's probably took all of his time. But I also believe that like, and it's definitely like a little bit of a marketing stunt to like have a push to go out on Twitter and say like, yeah, I'm going to use PancakeSwap and I'm going to use like our launchpad for memes and I'm going to like create a token. They definitely played into it. So I think it's a little bit of both.
I think they do well, though.
Very convenient.
I think they did well. I mean, we'll see. The rumors I've heard about CZ, the Asia ones.
He already went to jail once, man. What are they going to do to him?
Scary guy, like CZ is a scary guy. Objectively, he's a scary guy.
That's what I hear. Yeah. Like cutthroat.
Best of luck. Best of luck to everybody.
Is that why the hyperliquid stuff scared you? Like you hoping he's not gunning for him?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually gunning for them. First of all, like that's all. The thing is that I have no experience from that day, right? Like I'm so compared to like some of the people who know, like CZ in his heyday, very active.
If it's true, I feel like he kind of learned by experience, right? Based on his experience in the US, it's like, well, if they're going to do that to me over here, maybe I need to, crack the whip back at home.
Yeah, that's what. It's also, I mean, he went hard with FTX. Like that was
he did.
Because like nobody says, whoopsie, I didn't know how much debt they had. We're actually not going to buy them, right? Like you get information from the team and then you go public with it to like end your biggest competitor. That's very clearly like designed to
God.
do something.
Do you remember watching that shit on chain? He's like,
Oh.
says a tweet, and then you get like everyone starts like, oh my God, someone just moved X amount from here to there. Like they don't have the reserves. I remember that in real time. That shit was, yeah.
I do feel like in that scenario, I mean, they were probably pretty doomed regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, at the point with the amount of money that they were missing, like somebody was going to notice the hole like that. I mean, people were taking money off of other exchanges at the time too.
Well, they could have backed it with whatever the FTT sale was going to be, and I think that's what they were trying to do, right? Like they were shopping FTT around, and then if your largest competitor goes and says, "Well, this is worthless. I'll bid this when it's like a cent. I'm not gonna buy it for $22 or something." Like then you are finally cooked. But yeah, I mean they were doomed anyway. Like they didn't have the assets, and they were trying to back somebody.
Fucking knew it. FTT's up 20% the last 7 days.
Makes sense. That's a pretty good like risk on indicator, as well as like Farcoin is a pretty good risk on indicator.
Farcoin has been a pretty good one.
Yeah, anytime those are up, you're like, okay, something like we're doing well right now. Although you can probably also tell that when all of the assets go up, so it's not that good.
That's a big Bach prediction. FTT DAT to kind of like mark the peak of the degeneracy.
Not FTT DAT, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get really, really degenerate. Like the thing is, like a lot of people were like, "Oh, like we're getting like SOL DATs. That's like too degenerate." I'm like, no, but like SOL Bonk, these are like these people just have like a lot of money. They're large investors. Like if you think of Bonk, it's the same investor base as SOL, so it's like it's trivial for them to spend something up, find a chairman, run this. When we're getting like really, really stinky, like maybe not FTT, but I don't know, at that level, like Luna FTT, Wolf Swap, that's when you're like, okay, I'm like, I need to get out of this market right now. I don't think it's as bad as like people think. I mean, now everybody like after the FOMC, we're back up, so people are like, oh, I guess like it wasn't that frothy, I guess, but I think people forgot what frothy looks like because we haven't had that like. Although we did, like we were pumping ordinals and ruins to like billions of dollars, and it was impossible to buy, right? Like
I left so much on the table with that shit.
Yeah, same. And I think a lot of people did, and maybe the ancient Bitcoin whales actually came and bought and then dumped on us. Like we don't know, but that's when it was like silly. I feel like Bonk that isn't particularly silly, although I'm sure like we'll go down 5% and someone will dunk on me and say, look, this was the local top, or this was the front.
Yeah,
as this
no, I agree with that idea though. We like a lot of the like Mike Dudas and other notables are in a lot of these like early Solana projects, and even the meme coin, and even like Bonk as well. So that one isn't too surprising to me. It would be more absurd to see like a fresh meme coin straight off of like a pump fund migration. Like, hey, we're spinning up a DAT next week. That would be kind of insane.
Bonk is barely a meme coin as well, right? Like it's more
at this
akin
point.
They have apps and
between Bonkbot's one of the biggest revenue generators in this entire space, right?
Like with multiple products, they have a trading terminal. They have their own bot, although I'm not sure if they're exactly affiliated. I think it might
the Launchpad does even more from them than Bonkbot does too. So
exactly. So like I wouldn't be like upset about it. Camino, etc. These are large, very large protocols. I don't think they're getting at that, but if they got at that, I wouldn't. Like they're well connected. I think you gotta worry later down the line, but we'll see. Danny, do you wanna?
Yeah, we can call it there. Brad, was happy to have you on today. I feel like we should.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
We'll have to call on you more often. This was a good conversation, very fun. Bach, I'll leave it up to you though. If you want to talk about the newsletter before we close things out.
Guys.
You're muted. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Embarrassing things that can happen to the podcast. Xerox Research Podcast. Xerox. Can we restart? We can't. This is live. Can we?
Yeah, go again.
There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Take two.
The Xerox Research newsletter is every day. The Analyst team does a newsletter called the Xerox Research Newsletter. It's very good. It's like what we write on the Xerox Research Newsletter ends up becoming flash notes and reports that are given to the sub. So it's like actual content from us. It's what we're looking at. It's what's top of mind for us. It's like what we're looking, what we're interested in the market. It's our thoughts on the market. If you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. You can do it through the QR code. You can also search up 0x Research newsletter Blockworks on Google. Don't click the first link. That one's a scam. The second link is the correct link. Click on that, subscribe. It's a good newsletter. I promise you won't be disappointed. If I asked Ryan right now what he thinks of the newsletter, he would say it's free, but it shouldn't be. And that's really how we feel. It's a very good newsletter. Highly recommend that you subscribe. If you have any feedback for the newsletter, you can always message me on Twitter and say, Bok, this sucks. Can you guys write about this more? Can you guys not write about this more? And I'm always happy to oblige within limits. But yeah, it's kind of my baby at this point, and we're going to pass it on eventually. But until it gets the amount of subscribers that I need, I can't. So make sure to subscribe.
Great ad read. Awesome, Ep. Thanks for coming on again, Bread. If you want to plug anything, 0x Bread Guy, MegaETH, check them out. Otherwise, we will see you all next week. Enjoy your weekends. Touch some grass. Have fun out there.
Thanks, dudes.
Does you want to plug anything in? Do you want to plug anything, Bread?
Nah, you got me, man. MegaETH.
MegaETH.
MegaETH. There it is. All right. We'll see you all next time. Peace.
There it is.